How's it going, everyone? InnovativeJdawg here with yet another Spider-Man PS4 video. Today, I'll be starting off a small mini-series that I hope you guys enjoy, where I'll be giving you not one, not two, but 3 different wishlist videos for suits that I want to see in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. We still have some time before the game releases in 2023, and as of now, we haven't really seen anything about the game other than that initial teaser trailer, but I still think it would be fun to share my thoughts on some future alternate costumes that we might see. So, kicking off this series, I'm dedicating this first video entirely to the character of Peter Parker, where I'll be sharing my 15 most anticipated suits that I want to see him wear in the upcoming game. Now, I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so let's just get right into it. Number 15, the advanced suit from the first game. In fact, let's throw in all 47 suits from Spider-Man PS4. I know, there's only supposed to be 15 suits on this wish list, but I can't help it. I've gotta cheat and include all the suits that we saw from the first Spider-Man PS4 game. Every single suit, from the advanced suit all the way down to the black and gold suit seen in No Way Home, I want all 47 suits to return for the sequel, and because I want them all to return, I'm not doing any honorable mentions in this video. But, I mean, 47 is a big number, so if that's too many suits to ask for, then at the very least, I want to see the original advanced suit return, so then there can be a natural transition in the story mode between what we saw in Spider-Man PS4 to the slightly altered design that we see in the Spider-Man 2 trailer. Having the original advanced suit return from the first game is definitely a no-brainer, but is it possible for all of the old suits to return? I'd say so. The PS5 can definitely handle having that many alternate costumes, and I'm sure Insomniac would want a few of them to return through DLC or free updates to the game that could keep it alive for years after its release. Plus, I don't think there's a single person watching this video who wants Insomniac to leave out suits from the first game. They just did so well picking and choosing fan-favorite suits that I would hate to see them get dropped in the sequel. So while it's definitely possible for most of the old suits to return, we're just gonna have to wait and see if Insomniac decides to keep them all, or drop a few of them in exchange for new ones. Number 14, Shield Spider-Man. If you've been on this channel for a while, you might remember that I've had this suit on a few of my old wish lists, but we've sadly never seen it get added to any of the previous games. First appearing in issue 5 of 2015's Marvel 2-in-1 series, the Shield Spider-Man suit is a really obscure costume that I would love to see make an appearance just for the simple fact that it would reference Shield's existence in this Spider-Man universe. It would be really interesting if we heard some dialogue referencing Shield, or maybe even the Avengers whenever Spidey wears this costume, kinda like how J. Jonah Jameson references the Spider-Punk suit. I mean, we already know the Avengers exist in this universe, so S.H.I.E.L.D. is definitely around there somewhere too. So with that in mind, I think it would be cool if this suit could sort of bridge the gap between Spider-Man and that side of the Marvel universe. Number 13, the Spider-Phoenix suit. Speaking of bridging the gap between Spider-Man and a different side of the Marvel Universe, I would love to see the Spider-Phoenix suit make a reappearance in Spider-Man 2. We haven't seen this costume since it was first used as an alternate costume in Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, a game that released over 20 years ago, so I think it's finally time to bring it back. And I mean, it would be a really smart move to add it as an alternate costume since Insomniac is developing that new Wolverine game. Doesn't anyone else agree? Insomniac including this suit in the game would be a great marketing tool because it has those ties to the X-Men series and they're wanting people to check out their new Wolverine game that they're making. So why not include an official X-Men inspired Spider-Man costume? It's a match made in heaven if you ask me. Number 12, the high-tech suit, aka the Dustin Weaver suit. I'll be honest, the Dustin Weaver suit that first appeared in 2021's Amazing Spider-Man issue number 62, it's a really goofy looking suit, but I think it's likely that we're going to see it get added for a multitude of reasons. First off, the suit is very new and recent, so there's going to be a lot of people wanting to see it in Spider-Man 2 just because it's a fresh design. Second, there's no other suit that looks quite like this one. It stands apart from other suits thanks to the white and blue color scheme, and I can already imagine those yellowish portions of the costume looking outstanding during nighttime gameplay. I'm a sucker for suits that glow in the dark. So, while it's not my top pick, I love seeing Insomniac throw darts at the wall to see whatever random and obscure suits they should include from Spider-Man's history. They may not always end up being my favorite whenever I get around to ranking them, but I always appreciate Insomniac digging deep into the character's history to give players a costume that they may not have seen before. Number 11, the Arachnite suit. I'll be honest, I know absolutely nothing about the Arachnite suit besides the fact that it's a mix-up between Spider-Man and Moon Knight, and that several of you want to see this costume in the sequel. All I know is that this design is cool as hell, and I definitely want to see it be brought into Spider-Man 2, because I love whenever Spider-Man costumes reference other heroes. Now, I know, my track record may not indicate that I like that sort of thing, especially since I ranked the Spirit Spider and the Fear Itself suit relatively low on my suit ranking, but costumes like the Iron Spider armor, that's actually one of my favorite designs out there. The designs may not always be my personal favorite in comparison to others, but I just enjoy the idea of Spider-Man taking inspiration from other heroes, or even being mixed with others to form something entirely new. For what it's worth, I think the Arachnite design is really cool, and it would definitely be a welcome addition. Number 10, the Fantastic Four Spider-Man suit. Come on now, you longtime viewers of the channel knew that this was going to be on the list. It's practically a tradition at this point. I've advocated for a proper Fantastic Four Spider-Man suit ever since my first wishlist video for the first game. We've seen the Bagman suit and the Future Foundation suit make appearances in games multiple times, but I want the proper Fantastic Four Spider-Man suit where Spidey has that black mask and the proper Fantastic Four symbol. I may be one of the very few wanting this costume, but I definitely think it would be a fan favorite if Insomniac decided to add it alongside the other Fantastic Four designs. It's something simple that not a lot of people want, but it would personally make me pretty happy. Number 9, Cosmic Spider-Man. I was honestly pretty shocked that the Cosmic Spider-Man suit wasn't included in the first game because it's such an iconic look for the character. I've said it once and I'll say it again, but I would have much rather preferred it if the Cosmic Spider-Man suit was the reward for 100% completion of the first game as opposed to the Undies suit. Yeah, everybody loves the Undies suit, it's a really funny outfit, I've heard you guys say it time and time again, but the Cosmic Spider-Man costume just feels like something you'd want to earn if you complete the game to 100%. Aside from the black suit, which is definitely going to play an integral role in the plot of Spider-Man 2, I feel like this is the only costume that is worthy of being that final costume that you unlock. It's powerful, it could come with some really cool suit powers, and it would make a whole lot of sense for Insomniac to include it in the sequel since we didn't see it in the first game. Number 8, the Bullet Points suit. Yet another obscure Spider-Man suit that I don't think we've seen in any video game ever, aside from maybe that old Spider-Man Unlimited mobile game. The Bullet Point Spider-Man costume is really interesting, not just because of its unique purple and black design amongst the rest of Spidey's costumes, but because it's one of those suits that Peter Parker has never actually worn. This version of Spider-Man is actually Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. I haven't gotten around to reading the Bullet Points comic yet, but I hear that it's a really cool story where a lot of characters are mismatched with other heroes, like Bruce Banner is Spider-Man, Peter Parker is the Hulk, Steve Rogers is Iron Man, and stuff like that. I've always liked the design of this costume at face value, and I feel like Insomniac could do it justice, just like what they've done with the rest of Spidey's obscure costumes. Number 7, Spider-Man Unlimited. Here we go, a fan favorite suit that I see a lot of people wishing for in the sequel. The Spider-Man Unlimited suit from the 1999 cartoon has been a costume that I've seen plenty of people ask for time and time again. People wanted it in Shattered Dimensions, they wanted it in Edge of Time, the Amazing movie games, and I still see people asking for it to come in a free update for the first game. Personally, I've always liked the Spider-Man Unlimited cartoon. It's not my favorite, but I definitely think it's underrated, and I really like the unique design of the costume. I really love that large web cape that he's got. Now, I've never really cared either way if this costume gets added into games or not, but now that we've seen Insomniac do cartoony suits justice thanks to the vintage comic book suit and the Spider-Clan suit, I definitely want to see them take a crack at this costume. Number 6, the Spectacular Spider-Man suit. And speaking of cartoons, why wouldn't I want a costume based on my favorite Spider-Man show? I had the Spectacular Spider-Man suit on my wish list for the first Spider-Man game, which back then it seemed like a huge stretch because that was before anybody knew that Insomniac was going to include cartoony suits as opposed to realistic ones. But now that we know they're capable of doing stuff like that, I definitely want to see the Spectacular suit make an appearance. I'm one of those guys who wants to see the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon make a comeback, but unfortunately, I know due to rights and all that legal stuff, we're most likely not going to see the show return anytime soon, nor are we going to see the costume appear in Spider-Man 2. But it's my wish list, and I would love the chance to play as one of my favorite versions of the character. Plus, knowing that Insomniac could pull it off and make it look authentic, that just makes me want this costume even more. I mean, take a look at this cool 3D model made by Koa Pool on Twitter. It's an entirely 3D model, yet it looks like it was ripped straight out of the show. It's incredible, and if Insomniac could do that, my heart would skip a beat. If you want to check out Koa Pool's model for yourself, I'll leave a link to that tweet in the description. Number 5. An actual vintage comic book suit. It may sound a bit nitpicky, but out of all the cartoony costumes on this list, I'd probably want to see a proper vintage comic book suit that actually references artists from Spider-Man's comic book history. What I mean by that is, I don't want to see the vintage comic book suit be just a cel-shaded version of the classic Spider-Man PS4 suit. I want it to be something that actually has a distinct design, different from other costumes in the game. Now don't get me wrong, I loved the vintage comic book suit from the first game and I used it quite often. Heck, I even want it to return, but I want Insomniac to take a step further and include some suits that reference different Spider-Man artists. They don't have to do all of them, but I'd love if there was a vintage comic suit for each of Spidey's most iconic artists, such as Steve Ditko, John Romita Sr., John Romita Jr., Todd McFarlane, and even an Ultimate Spider-Man inspired Mark Bagley costume. Just being able to see different styles of the character with different eye shapes, spider symbols, and different web wing patterns, it would be amazing for hardcore fans like myself. I would love to see all those suits because they represent a small chunk of the character's history, but if I had to pick one for this wish list, I would without a doubt want Steve Ditko's design to make an appearance. They could call it something like the fantasy suit and have that bright blue spider on the back. That would be pretty cool. Number 4. Assassin Spider-Man. I was kinda torn between adding this suit on this wish list or the Alex Ross suit, but I ended up going with the Assassin Spider-Man suit simply because we haven't seen it before. The two suits have a very similar design, but we've already seen the Alex Ross costume in a game way back in the 2002 movie game. And while it would be nice to see it make a comeback, I think it's best that the Assassin suit gets some time to shine. There's really not much I have to say about this costume that you aren't already thinking. It's a super cool and slick design that could easily be modernized through Insomniac's eye for creativity, and I'm sure it would come with a few interesting suit powers, some that could benefit stealth gameplay. It just seems like a win-win scenario for me. And besides, remember when I said that Insomniac should do the Spider-Phoenix suit just because they have that Wolverine game coming out? The Assassin Spider-Man suit was first shown in a Spider-Man vs. Wolverine comic. So yeah, gonna throw that out there. It only makes sense to add it. Number 3. The sensational Ben Reilly suit. And here we have yet another fan favorite costume that I've seen a lot of people wanting for years and years. We've gotten multiple renditions of the Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly suit in countless Spider-Man games, but we've only seen the sensational Ben Reilly suit, what, a few times? Maybe 2 or 3? Granted, it's really not that different from the classic red and blue Spider-Man costume, but even with those minor adjustments that it has, it's without a doubt one of the most beloved costumes in the character's history, just like the Cosmic Spider-Man suit. So with that in mind, I think it's about time that we see the sensational Ben Reilly suit make a comeback after all this time. And hey, Ben Reilly fans deserve something good nowadays, don't you think? Number 2. The Superior Spider-Man. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think it's fine that Insomniac opted to not include this suit in the first game, because it would be kinda weird for Spider-Man to be wearing this suit when fighting Doc Ock, don't you think? Would it have been a cool 100% completion reward? Yeah, it definitely would have, but I could see why they decided against including it for story purposes. But now, whenever the sequel rolls around, I don't see any reason for Insomniac to neglect adding this fan favorite costume. It's too popular to not add it in the game, and unless if they decide on doing a Superior Spider-Man story arc later on down the line, this costume is so popular that everybody and their dog is going to want to see it make an appearance in Spider-Man 2, and I am without a doubt one of those people. Besides, remember those mechanical legs that Spider-Man was using in the teaser trailer? Those mechanical arms would work very nicely with the Superior suit, I'm just saying. And while we're on the topic, it would also be cool to see the Superior Octopus costume too, but I can settle with just the Superior Spider-Man suit. I'm not including it on this wish list because I've already cheated by adding way more than 15 suits, but I'm just saying it would be cool to see this costume too. Number 1. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. You all knew this was coming. The suit that I want to see most for Peter in Spider-Man 2 is none other than the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit from the 2014 movie. This costume is the only reason why I haven't made my ranking for all 47 suits from Spider-Man Remastered yet, because I'm honestly shocked that Insomniac decided to not add it. I was banking on the idea that Insomniac was going to drop this suit in a free update for the game whenever No Way Home released on digital or Blu-ray, but they never did, so now I gotta get around to ranking the other 47 like you've all been wanting. Trust me, that video is coming, and hopefully it will be the last ranking before the sequel releases, but every time I say that, I always jinx myself. Regardless, it would have made so much sense for this costume to appear alongside the other No Way Home suits for Spider-Man Remastered, and you never know, it still might, since we have a whole year before the sequel comes out, but if Insomniac decides to keep this suit out of the first game, then I definitely want to see it in Spider-Man 2, alongside the rest of the live-action movie suits. And there we have it, everybody. Those are my top 15 most anticipated suits that I want to see for Peter Parker in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. How many suits from my list do you want to see make it in the sequel? Are there any suits that I didn't talk about that you would want to see? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below and let's have a discussion. If you liked this video and want to see more Spider-Man related content, smash that thumbs up button and share this video with your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. I have 2 more videos planned where I'll be giving my wish list for Miles Morales suits and black symbiote suits that I want to see, so if you're interested in both those videos, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so then you won't miss a single video that I release. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all around in my next video. But until then, I'll be seeing all of you Spider-Man fans later. See ya!